You first started hanging out with her, was it as friends or was it as party buddies? Was it?
It was a flirty friendship, but nothing more. It kind of grew into more of a sexual friendship, if you mean. But, you know, we were just hanging out.
So it grew into a sexual relationship.
Somewhat, yes. Later on in the relationship, we messed around, but for the most part, we were just friends.
So she texted you at 4 a.m. Was it for you guys to like hook up, hang out?
She texted me at 4 o'clock in the morning because she's a girl and she wanted to kick it. I mean, why else does any other girl text another guy at 4 o'clock in the morning to come over?
And I really beat myself up for years, which is also why I had a really hard time coming to terms with the fact that it was a rape when it happened. We were hooking up, but I said, hey, this is not going any farther. I'm a virgin and I don't want to lose it this way. And that didn't matter to them. They did it anyways. And I internalized it and I told myself it was my fault because I still went in the room with him. I still hooked up with him.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. I'm back. I know I've been gone for a little bit, but I have returned. I have something to talk about. It's been a little crazy to try to come up with content because, as I had stated before in my last video, things have just been changing so much that I can't even keep up. It gets to the point where I make a video about a topic and it literally changes before I'm done editing the video, and then what I talked about is no longer valid. So today, as you can see from the intro video, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, not politic related. We're going to be talking about this new documentary that Demi Lovato has released called Dancing with the Devil. Now, this is not a review on that documentary. This is, you know, something a little bit different. There was something talked about in this documentary, which, by the way, there's still one more episode left. I'm on part 3, I think, of a 4-part series. But what I saw in part 3 is what inspired me to get on and make this video. So let's get into the discussion. So part of this documentary is about Demi Lovato's overdose that she experienced in 2019, I believe it was. It was a pretty horrific experience. She overdosed very, very badly to the point where she has permanent brain damage, which is very, very sad. And it is as a result of her drug use. And in particular, an extensive amount of drugs that she used the particular night that she overdosed. Now, I think since then, she has been going through a lot of self-discovery. She has been going through counseling. She apparently has a huge team of, I guess, sober coaches around her that are helping her work through some of these experiences and feelings that she has. All good stuff. I have nothing to say about that. And this is not about the overdose part of it. What this is about is during some of the discovery phases of her recovery, which I really don't feel like I feel like she's in recovery, but I don't feel like she's recovered, if that makes sense. But during some of the conversations that she has had with her sober coaches, with her counselors, it came out that she was sexually violated during her overdose. Okay, so I'm going to explain that. She says basically, I was raped when I overdosed, and she also goes into a previous situation when she was 15 or 16 and she was on the Disney show Camp Rock, where she also states now that she was raped. Ultimately, this person took her virginity against her will. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what that experience was like for her, or how she detailed that experience. And then I want to go into my thoughts and feelings about it, because I really feel like it requires some discussion and some clarification. And I really want to rely on you guys who watch my videos, who have maybe experienced this yourself, to maybe weigh in and tell me if I'm wrong here. Okay. And we're going to talk about the rape is what we're going to talk about, okay? Hard subject, I know, and I'm probably going to get a lot of people upset because this is a very sensitive subject, and I will admit I myself have never been in a situation where I have been raped or forced to have sex, but I'm a little concerned as to how it is being defined in this particular documentary. Okay, so here it goes. So let's go back to the overdose, the night of the overdose, okay? So Demi Lovato, I'm gonna summarize it really quick. She basically went to a party, I think it was a birthday party for one of her choreographers, the night that she overdosed. She was drinking. I don't know if anybody knew she was doing drugs, but she for sure was drinking. And she had everybody over at her house, continuing to party. And that night she, told everybody, hey, it's, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go to bed. And I think people started to kind of go home. I don't know how many people stayed at her house. Regardless, she went up to her room, excused herself, and that was the end of her night, or so they thought. What she says is she made a decision to call somebody who had previously been her dealer, her drug dealer, and had him come over to provide her with some drugs. I think it was heroin, cocaine. I believe later she found out the heroin was laced with fentanyl. But she states that this person administered the drugs to her, got her high, and then sexually took advantage of her or raped her. Okay. Now, my thoughts about that are this. I truly do believe if you are under the influence of drugs or alcohol and somebody has sex with you without your knowledge of it, your right mind knowledge of it, it does somewhat constitute as a violation of your rights, okay? However, I do want to state this. It is important for kids who are watching this, and I really wish that Demi herself would have put a little bit more context around this, but it's very important to know this. When you put yourself in a situation where you are not of your right mind, where your ability to make proper decisions is impaired, okay? I'm not saying that excuses somebody to take advantage of you, but what I am saying is you play a part in that. You have to take some accountability for that. Now, that's not saying that you can't come out and say, hey, this person took advantage of me. They knew I was high. They knew I was, not of my right mind, and they decided to take advantage of me. That doesn't mean that you can't say that, okay? But I really wish her in this particular situation, and also other people when they're talking about their experiences, really highlight the fact that had they not put themselves in a particular situation to be mentally impaired, that it may have played out differently. Okay? I hope that makes sense. I hope that doesn't come across insensitive. Now, let's go to the night of her first rape, which was when she was on the show Camp Rock with Disney. And she says that she got raped by somebody that night, taking her virginity, okay? Now, previously to that, Demi Lovato was part of a group of kids from the Disney Channel, boys and girls, who basically took a public pledge of purity, okay? So they basically said they were pledging that they were going to wait until marriage, they were gonna stay virgins, whatever. If you wanna go and do that, that's fine. I really personally don't feel like you need to, make a pledge on TV or publicly to anybody about what you're going to do. But I get that maybe their intentions were in the right place. They were trying to show that, hey, we're these famous kids. We're on the Disney Channel. We're trying to set a good example. Fine. Okay. So she talks about a night where she was with this particular person. She does not say who this person is in the documentary. But she says we were hooking up. I don't know what hooking up is. It sounds like they were making out. And this person indicated to her that they wanted it to go further, meaning to a sexual level. And she says there that she verbally told this person, no, I don't want it to go down like this. I'm a virgin and this is not how I want to lose my virginity. Great. Everything's good up until then. But then she says that this person proceeded to go further. Okay, so she says that first, and then she admits that she walked into a room with this person, she laid down with this person, she continued to make out with this person, all the while she was thinking, this is not what I want to do. Okay, I'm assuming, and she didn't really like say this word for word, but I'm assuming that she went through some therapy, and in the midst of that therapy, the therapist either convinced her or helped her come to the realization that that particular situation is defined as rape. And here's where I have the problem. I don't believe that that is rape. And I find it extremely irresponsible for Demi Lovato to, again, not put more context around that and not really say, you know, maybe there's more that I should have done to make sure that that situation didn't happen. Never once that I heard in the documentary, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you guys have watched this documentary, but never once did I hear her say that this person, you know, forced her to have sex or dragged her into the room or held her down and took her virginity. She made it seem like even though mentally she didn't want to do this, and even though verbally she told this person she really didn't want to do this, her actions said different. Okay, so here's where the problem lies, is we need to be careful as a society, and we need to be responsible as women for our actions and how we handle those types of situations, because that is not rape. That is what I call making a bad decision and going against your better judgment. That is not a situation where I feel it justifies you accusing somebody of violating you, okay? Because even though you had sex and maybe you regretted it, you didn't like it, you knew that's not what you should have done, that's not rape, okay? In my opinion, that's not rape. And as a mother of a son, it scares me to think about that, because I think, well, what if one day my son is in a situation like that and the girl's like, oh no, you know, because I've done that. Like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, let's just wait. You know, I can speak for my experience on how I was. Let's just wait, you know, let's just kiss, let's just make out. And then things go further and further and further, and boom, you've had sex, you know? How damaging is it for that young man if the girl turns around and goes, well, wait a minute, Demi Lovato's experience by definition is making me feel like now I've been raped. And that's not, I don't think that that's a good situation or a good way to interpret it. So I really feel upset watching this documentary because, you know, I don't like the message that she's putting forth about her experience. Now, again, I'm not here to tell anybody how she should feel about her experience, but if you have a public platform like this and you have a documentary and you have the opportunity to tell your story, do so responsibly. Do so in a way that you say, hey, this is what happened, this is how it went down, but I take responsibility for the fact that, you know, maybe after I said no, I should have got up and left. Maybe after I told the guy, I don't want to have sex, I should have said, you know, I think I'm going to go home now. Not walk to a room willingly, lay down willingly, make out willingly, you know, he takes his penis out, puts it inside you, and then boom, you've had sex, and now you're like, I shouldn't have done that. I'm raped. That's not how it works. Rape is something that you are forced against your will, in an almost violent way, to have sex, okay? So I have a problem with that. And I think about this because, you know, now we have this Me Too movement. We have women, grown women, saying that they were, you know, either by a boss or a coworker, or, you know, you even take, you know, like Bill Cosby's situation where women said they were drugged or they were touched inappropriately. You have the Matt Lauer situation where a woman said, you know, he presented me with a gift and it was a sex toy. You know, my first reaction in that particular situation, like with the Matt Lauer situation, was, what message were you sending to him that he thought it was okay to give you a sex toy? Okay. There has to be something that gave him the indication that you wanted this type of advancement or that you weren't going to be offended by it. Okay. Because I personally have never received a sex toy as a gift from somebody just randomly. And I don't proclaim to be an expert of men by any means, but I do know this. Men typically chase and go after what they think they can get. And yes, they do want a challenge, okay? But they're not going to like just throw everything to the wind and be like, I'm just gonna go and send this girl a sex toy and see how it all plays out. No, I think that there were some signals and some signs being given that gave Matt the indication that she was down for this. Now, it's funny because it wasn't until years and years later that she decided she was offended by receiving a sex toy. Same thing with Bill Cosby, okay? These girls that claim, or these women that claim that they were drugged by him, that they were lured to his hotel room or to his house or to his office, and then they were being given a drink that said it was going to relax them, and then boom, you know, date rape, drug, and you know, they had sex with Bill Cosby. I mean, again, take some responsibility. If a guy tells me, come to my hotel room, here's a drink that's gonna relax you, those are red flags to me. Okay, I'm gonna be like, what's in this drink? I didn't see you pour it. Why am I at your hotel room so damn late? You know what I mean? Like, I always tell my daughter this, nothing good happens after a certain hour at night. And most of the time, these stories always occur late at night, okay? Most of the time, I'm gonna say 99.99999% of the time, if a guy invites you over at 10 o'clock at night or later, he's not inviting you over for a chat. He's inviting you over because he wants to see you. He's probably horny. And if he's not horny, he's going to get horny. Okay. Something's going to happen. If there's alcohol involved, something is going to happen. If there's already some type of attraction, something is going to happen. If you are not prepared to deal with that situation, then don't put yourself in it. That's my message. And that's really the message that I wish Demi Lovato would have been giving in this documentary, but she really didn't. She really is playing out the victim part of her story, which I'm not saying she's not a victim. I'm not saying that, like when she got, not drugged, but when she asked for the drugs and then this guy took advantage of her, yeah, you were a victim to a certain extent, okay? But not all the way. You asked for the drugs. You knew what you were doing. You've been there before. This wasn't the first time you did drugs. The guy didn't like sneak stuff into you. You asked for it. So there is some level of responsibility that you have to take. And I think that we are living in a time right now where we have to really examine these things, and we have to stop it with this victim mentality of just because I don't like something, just because something hurts my feelings or hurts my ego, that it's constituted as rape or racism or oppression or whatever you want to call it, all these victim words. I'm over it. I'm over it. Okay. So I said what I had to say. I want to know what you guys think in the comments box below. Have you been in this type of situation? Can you give me a little bit more context around the mentality? I will say this, okay? This type of conversation that we're having right now doesn't apply to young kids. Again, young kids are not in the state of mind to make proper decisions. And I do recognize there are situations where adults or family members will sometimes take advantage of a relationship that they have with a child to further, take advantage of that child in a very inappropriate way. I'm talking about adults who are making decisions to put themselves in certain situations which result in bad things. Let me know what you guys think in the comments box below. Do you agree with me? Are you concerned about what you're seeing? Have you seen this documentary? I am going to tune in for the final episode to see how it goes. So far it's interesting to kind of hear her story. I'm not a Demi Lovato maniac or whatever they call it. I don't know what her fans are called, but anyways, I'm not like a huge Demi Lovato fan. I like some of her songs, but I never really, you know, knew anything about her prior to this. So let me know if you've seen the documentary and let me know what you think. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another video. Thank you. Bye-bye.